Okay, imagine this. I put a treatment on the table right now, a single pill. And I tell you that the clinical trials are, well, they're indisputable. It will extend your lifespan.
Mm-hmm.
It'll boost your memory, make you more creative, keep you slim, and it protects you from cancer and dementia. It even wards off colds. Would you take it?
In a heartbeat. I mean, honestly, if that was a real product, the bidding war would be in the trillions. It would be
Oh.
the most successful drug in history.
And here's the thing, it's completely free.
Okay.
There's no patent. It's available to everyone. And it has, like, zero negative side effects if you use it the right way. I think you know where I'm going with this.
I do.
Yeah.
The reveal is always the best part. It's not a pill, is it? It's sleep.
Yeah, it is sleep. And I know hearing that, some people might just roll their eyes and think, okay, sure, get 8 hours. I get it. But that is exactly why we're doing this deep dive.
Right.
Because the user manual for sleep we've been looking at, it just completely dismantles that whole casual attitude. We aren't talking about resting.
No, and that's the fundamental shift we have to make right at the top here. For decades, science, well, even society, treated sleep as this passive thing, like you're just parking the car in the garage.
It's turning the engine off.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But when you look at the biology, the architecture of it, that couldn't be more wrong. Sleep is an incredibly active metabolic state.
I love that phrase the research uses. Mother Nature's best effort yet at contra-death.
Wow.
That's a heavy title. It frames sleep not as a pause button, but as a life support system.
It really is. And our mission today is to unpack that system. We need to look at the machinery of the night to understand why, biologically speaking, skipping on sleep is basically an act of self-sabotage.
So let's start with that big picture, the evolutionary argument, because on the surface, sleep seems like a terrible idea. It's a huge paradox.
Oh, it's the biggest paradox in biology.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. When you're asleep, you're unconscious. You can't find food. You can't socialize.
Right.
And the most critical part, you are completely vulnerable to predators. Lying down for 8 hours in the wild should be a death sentence.
From a survival of the fittest standpoint, evolution should have gotten rid of it millions of years ago. If there was a way to get by without it, nature would have found it.
Exactly. And yet, every single species we've ever studied sleeps. Every single one. Fruit flies, whales, us. It is universal.
Which tells you something.
It tells us that the benefits of sleep must be so overwhelming, so non-negotiable, that they outweigh the massive risk of, being eaten while you're out cold.
The text we read said if sleep didn't serve a vital function, it would be the biggest mistake the evolutionary process has ever made.
It would be a colossal error. But it's not.
Yeah.
And to understand why, we have to look at what's actually happening. I love the visual the guide uses here, the Swiss Army knife.
Yeah, that's a great analogy because we tend to look for one single reason for sleep, like, oh, it's for the brain. But this suggests it's a multi-purpose tool set.
It's not one tool. It's the whole workshop. One blade helps reset your emotional stability.
Mm-hmm.
Another one repairs your muscle tissues. Another calibrates your immune system. Another files away memories. There isn't a single major organ or brain process that isn't made better by sleep.
And, well, detrimentally impaired when we don't get enough.
So we have to stop seeing sleep as this obstacle to our productivity. That whole I'll sleep when I'm dead thing.
Right.
And realize it is the engine of that productivity. But let's get into the mechanics. The deep dive highlights this graph showing the two forces controlling your energy.
This is so crucial. It's basically a battle between two opponents in your brain.
Opponent number one being the circadian rhythm.
Right. Process C, that's your internal biological clock. It's like a wave. It goes up during the day, making you feel alert, and then it dips down at night. Mostly driven by light.
But it's the second opponent that people don't really get.
Adenosine, or sleep pressure.
Sleep pressure. Yeah, think of it like a chemical hourglass. From the moment you wake up, your brain is burning energy, and the waste product from that is a chemical called adenosine. And it just accumulates all day long.
So the longer I'm awake, the more of this stuff just piles up in my brain.
Exactly. And as the level of adenosine rises, it creates this chemical pressure. It makes you feel groggy, heavier. After about 16 hours, that pressure is so heavy it drags you down into sleep.
And then sleep is the cleanup crew.
The cleanup crew comes in, clears out all the adenosine, and you wake up with a clean slate.
But, and this is where it gets really interesting for, well, probably 90% of us, we have a way to cheat the system, the caffeine hack.
The world's most popular psychoactive drug.
Yes. And the diagram in the research is fascinating. It shows caffeine acting like a mute button It doesn't actually get rid of the sleep pressure, does it?
No, and this is the key thing to understand. In your brain, you have these little docking stations receptors where adenosine lands to tell your brain, hey, we're getting tired. Caffeine's molecular shape happens to be almost identical to adenosine.
So it fits in the same slot.
It jams the slot,
Yeah.
it latches onto those receptors, and blocks the adenosine from docking. So the signal gets muted, your brain have all this sleep pressure building, but it just can't feel it.
Which feels amazing in the moment. You feel totally alert, but the adenosine doesn't stop building up in the background.
That's the trap. The pile of chemical ash just keeps getting higher and higher, and eventually your liver breaks down the caffeine. The blockade lifts.
Oh, the crash.
The crash. You don't just feel normally tired. You get hit with the entire tsunami of adenosine that's been building up for hours. That's why you feel absolutely wrecked when the coffee wears off.
I feel Sue right now. That 2 p.m. slump just made so much more sense. Okay, so eventually the pressure wins. We fall asleep. Now we're in the architecture of the night. And this is where I think the biggest misconceptions are. I used to think sleep was just this long, flat line. The chart in the notes, it looks like a roller coaster.
It's incredibly dynamic. We sleep in these 90-minute cycles. And within those cycles, we're shifting between two totally different types of sleep. NREM, non-rapid eye movement, and REM.
The cleanup crew and the therapy session.
That's a great way to put it. NREM is deep sleep. That dominates the first half of the night. So if you go to bed at 11, those early hours are rich in this deep, restorative NREM sleep. This is where the body repairs tissue and the brain clears out toxins.
And then the mix changes as the night goes on.
Drastically. As you move towards the morning, 4, 5, 6 a.m., those 90-minute cycles get taken over by REM sleep. That's dream sleep. That's the therapy and creativity phase.
And this leads to something, well, frankly terrifying about waking up early. The guide calls it the danger zone.
Yeah.
Let's do the math on this because this shocked me. Say I normally sleep 8 hours, midnight to 8 a.m., but tomorrow I have to wake up at 6. I've lost 2 hours. That's 25% of my night.
You've lost 25% of your total time, yes. But because REM sleep is backloaded, because it mostly happens in those last couple of hours,
No.
you haven't lost 25% of your REM. You might have lost 60, 70, maybe even 90% of your REM sleep.
Wow. That's a massive difference. It's like stopping a file download at 90%. You don't get a partial file, you get a corrupted one.
Exactly. You are literally amputating the specific phase of sleep that's responsible for emotional regulation for complex thinking. So you wake up, and you might feel okay physically, but your fuse is short. You're anxious. You've basically starved your brain of its therapy session.
Let's dig into that therapy part. The brain's save button analogy for memory is really powerful.
This is all about the hippocampus. It's a structure in your brain that acts like a short-term inbox, a USB stick. It holds new information, but it has a very limited capacity.
And if you don't sleep,
The USB stick fills up. If you try to learn more, the information just bounces off. Or worse, you start overwriting old files.
so sleep is the file transfer.
Specifically, deep NREM sleep. You can see it on brain scans. These bursts of electrical activity called sleep spindles. They're like a courier service,
Yeah.
shifting the memories from that fragile USB stick to the massive hard drive of the cortex.
You wake up with a clean USB stick, ready to learn again.
And the previous day's memories are safely stored. If you don't sleep, you don't click save. It's really that simple.
But the emotional part, the REM sleep, they call it overnight therapy. That's what fascinates me. The idea that sleep is what heals emotional wounds, not just time.
It's a very specific chemical process. When you go into REM sleep, your brain creates this bizarre chemical environment. It's the only time in a 24-hour period that your brain completely shuts off the supply of noradrenaline.
Which is the stress molecule, right? Like adrenaline for the brain.
Correct, the anxiety trigger. So during REM, you are reprocessing emotional memories from the day, but you're doing it in a neurochemically safe space with zero stress. It allows the brain to steep the emotion from the memory.
So you remember what happened, but you don't feel that visceral sting anymore.
Exactly, it takes the sting out. It's why a fight with your partner feels like the end of the world at 11 p.m., but the next morning you can think, okay, we can work this out. Sleep provided emotional first aid.
And then there's creativity. The story of Dmitry Mendeleev just blows my mind.
It's the classic example. He was trying to order the elements, shuffling cards, obsessed. He couldn't find the pattern. He falls asleep, exhausted, and his dreaming brain starts making these wild connections. He literally sees the periodic table in a dream.
It connects ideas your waking brain would just dismiss as unrelated.
It's associative processing. That's why you should always sleep on a problem. You're not just resting, you are problem solving in a different dimension.
Okay, so sleep makes us smart, stable, and creative, but
Yeah.
now we have to turn to the body, the somatic maintenance. And honestly, this section was, well, it was a bit of a horror show.
It is terrifying, frankly. Let's talk about the immune system.
The natural killer cells.
All right, these are like the secret agents of your immune system. They seek out dangerous things like tumors or viruses and eliminate them. The data shows that after just one single night of 4 hours of sleep, your natural killer cell activity drops by 70%.
Hold on, let's just sit with that. Not 10%, 70% from one bad night.
One bad night. That is an immunological collapse. You are leaving your fortress gate wide open. It's why sleep loss is so closely linked to cancer risk. The World Health Organization has classified night shift work as a probable carcinogen.
That is a powerful statement, and it goes all the way down to our DNA, doesn't it? The gene switching.
It does. We now know that sleep deprivation actually changes your gene expression. It switches on genes linked to inflammation and tumor promotion, and it switches off genes for immunity. You are actively rewriting your genetic software towards illness.
And metabolism. This explains the midnight snack thing perfectly.
It's a double hit. You have two key hormones, ghrelin, which makes you hungry, and leptin, which tells you you're full. When you're sleep deprived, the hunger hormone, ghrelin, spikes, and the fullness hormone, leptin, just plummets.
So your brakes are cut and the accelerators jam to the floor.
And your brain craves carbs and sugars. The research shows people eat 200 to 300 extra calories a day when they're tired. If you are trying to diet but not sleeping, you're fighting a losing biochemical war.
And all of this leads to the ultimate metric, mortality. The shorter your sleep, the shorter your life.
It connects to everything. Alzheimer's, we know the brain cleans out those toxic plaques at night. Heart attacks, calcification of the arteries. Even testosterone men who sleep 5 hours a night have the testosterone levels of someone 10 years older.
It's just rapid aging. But,
Yeah.
People hear these stats and think, well, I'm different, I can handle it. But the materials bring up a global experiment that proves how fragile we all are.
Daylight savings time. This is the mic drop moment for me. We have a study of 1.6 billion people. Twice a year, we mess with their sleep. In the spring, we lose 1 hour, just one. And the very next day, heart attacks spike by 24%, globally.
24% from 1 hour. That's astronomical.
It shows the human body is operating on a razor's edge. And to prove it's the sleep, look what happens in the fall. We gain an hour of sleep. Heart attacks drop by 21%.
If 1 hour can do that to the whole population, imagine what our chronic sleep debt is doing to us.
It's a slow motion catastrophe.
Yeah.
And we see it in safety too. Drowsy driving kills more people than alcohol and drugs combined. It's 1 death every hour in the U.S. alone.
So we know why it's vital. We know what it does. So why aren't we sleeping? What are the modern thieves?
We have basically engineered a world that's hostile to sleep. The biggest thief is light, specifically blue light from our screens.
The LED.
Yeah, we're visual creatures. When that blue light hits our eyes, it screams to our brain, it's morning. It suppresses melatonin. And melatonin is the vampire hormone. It only comes out in the dark to signal it's time to sleep.
So staring at my phone at 10 p.m. is a problem.
It's chemically delaying that sleep signal by up to 3 hours.
And then there's temperature.
This is a big one people miss. To fall asleep, your core body temperature needs to drop by about 2 or 3 degrees Fahrenheit. It's why it's always easier to fall asleep in a room that's too cold than one that's too hot.
Okay, we have to touch on this one. The nightcap. Alcohol to help you sleep.
We have to bust this myth. Alcohol is not a sleep aid. It is a sedative. And sedation is not sleep. You're just knocking out your cortex.
So what's the difference biologically?
2 things. 1, it fragments your sleep.
Yeah.
You wake up many times during the night, so it isn't restorative. 2, and this is crucial, alcohol is one of the most powerful suppressors of REM sleep that we know of.
So you're blocking that emotional therapy we just talked about.
Exactly. You might be unconscious for 8 hours, but physiologically, you haven't slept well at all.
And quickly, on sleeping pills versus CBTI.
Sleeping pills are sedative hypnotics. Same issues as alcohol. No natural sleep. Higher risk of mortality. The gold standard now is CBTI, cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia. It treats the problem, not just the symptom.
Okay, let's get practical. We scared everyone straight. Let's give them the protocol for optimization. What are the absolute essentials from the user manual?
Well, there are 12 tips in the full guide, but 3 matter most. Number 1, above everything else, regularity.
Go to bed and wake up at the same time.
Every single day, even weekends. You cannot bank sleep. It just doesn't work that way. Regularity anchors your whole rhythm.
Number 2.
Temperature and light. Keep the bedroom cool around 65 degrees Fahrenheit, 18 Celsius, and dim the lights an hour before bed. Treat your home like a sunset.
I like that. And number 3, which I think is great advice. Don't lie in bed awake.
This is a conditioning rule. If you can't sleep after, say, 20 minutes, get up, go to another room, read a book in dim light. Only go back to bed when you feel sleepy. You need your brain to associate your bed with sleep, not with frustration.
So we've covered the evolution, the brain, the body, the horror, and the solution. The source calls this a new vision for sleep.
It really is. It's about reclaiming our right to sleep. It is the single most effective performance enhancer available to us.
I think the challenge for everyone listening, and for us, is to change the narrative. We have to stop wearing sleep deprivation like a badge of honor.
Absolutely. In our culture, we glorify the "I only slept 4 hours" hustle. But based on everything we've just discussed, when someone says that, they aren't saying I'm a hard worker.
They're saying what?
They're saying I am cognitively impaired, emotionally unstable, and immunologically vulnerable.
That is a powerful reframe. So I guess the question to leave you with is this. If sleep is the foundation of our health, our economy, and maybe even our kindness, what would happen if we finally stopped fighting our own biology and just closed our eyes?
It's time to find out.
Thanks for diving in. Sleep well.